It's the moment you've been waiting for. The 2024 real estate market forecast in February of 2024. Okay, all joking aside, I understand it's February. We're 45 days into the year. So we still have a good chunk of the year left. I really dislike making national forecast videos because no one knows. And even locally, I think they're cool because I like the comparison between what's happening nationally versus locally. So check out my local East Tennessee market forecast video, which just came out because I wanted to make sure I have all the correct data. So this is kind of a look at the 2024 real estate market forecast all of February, because now we have information about what's happening with East Tennessee, but also this is kind of like what we predicted and then what's happened just in the past 45 days. So I want to say that really this is for the purpose of information and making informed decisions, but not necessarily like this is what's gonna happen, because no one knows. Okay, so the whole point of this is to be informed, learn about where we came from last year. I did a whole video about what happened last year as it relates to the mortgage rates in the East Tennessee area, where we saw, like October, for example, was the highest month of price decline or price decreases on current listings. And that was also the highest interest rate we saw over the course of 2023. So check out that video. That's kind of a reflection back to predict where we're going forward. So again, this is a market national predictions video. And then I'm gonna throw some Tennessee info in there as well. So let's get going. All right, so essentially when we think about what is the prediction for 2024, Keeping Current Matters is the primary resource I use for this. It is a data resource base for real estate agents, and they pull data from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHAA, the Mortgage Business Association, from NAR, National Association of Realtors, all the people. So that being said, this is a compilation of all of that data. And essentially, Keeping Current Matters says and predicts that 2024 is going to be the year of 5 as the handle number on mortgage rates. In other words, 5.4, 5.9, 5.99. Now, it's probably not going to be 5.4, okay, but what I'm saying is that very first number, the rates are going to be in the 5s, okay? So that's prediction number 1. Prediction number 2 is that there will be 5.5 million homes sold in 2024. And I'm going to tell you why that matters, what that means. Is that a lot? Is it not a lot? We're going to get into that. And then lastly, the third prediction is about home pricing, and that is that home price appreciation will be at 5%. So again, we're going to compare that to what the prediction is for East Tennessee. But overall, 5 mortgage rate, somewhere in the 5s. 5.5 million, 5-ish million homes sold in the U.S. in 2024, and then a 5% price appreciation over the year. All right, so currently what we've seen 45 days into the new year is we saw rates coming down. Okay, so essentially where we are with rates, let's talk about them. Essentially, as I said, the prediction is that they are going to be in the 5s somewhere. So what we've seen so far over the past 45 days is a little bit of volatility. Dean Baker, the senior economist for the Center for Economic Research, went on 60 Minutes and he said, we think we have inflation combated, but we're not 100% sure. And then the next day or so that caused a little bit of volatility, but overall the trend is downward. So initially, as of December 2023, the prediction from Fannie Mae for quarter 1 2024 was 7%. Quarter 2, 6.8%, quarter 3, 6.6%, quarter 4, 6.5%. As of the end of January, Fannie Mae said that in quarter 1, we're going to see 6.4% overall, quarter 2, 6.2%, quarter 3, 6%, and quarter 4, 5.8%. By the way, a little side note here, what's happening in East Tennessee, the prediction is that essentially, if rates drop below 6.5%, we're going to see an additional 19,000 people come into the housing market to transact, buy, and sell. So that's just a side note about this prediction of rates coming down. So Doug Duncan, who is the senior VP and chief economist for Fannie Mae, says, we anticipate that after the past several years of extreme volatility in interest rates, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage will continue to moderate over the course of 2024, moving toward a rate below 6% by the end of the year. So if we see that drop into the fives, we're going to see, and when I say fives, again, I want to reiterate, the prediction is not 5.2, blah, blah, blah. But there is a prediction that it would, Fannie Mae right now is saying 5.8%. So anyways, that is mortgage rates prediction in the 5%, somewhere in there. Prediction number 2 is about total volume sales, total volume of overall sales. So right now the prediction is 5.5 million. So in 2023, total home sales were 4.8 million. If you look at this chart that shows home sales in the thousands, 2021 is gray, 2022 is like the lighter blue, and 2023 is the darker blue. So every month in 2023, there were less sales of homes than there had been in 2021 and 2022. Now, if you look at 2021, those numbers are elevated, right? Because it was insane. There was low inventory. There was 2.7% interest rates. People were going crazy. It was bonkers. Obviously, 2021 is the year after the pandemic. Don't know if you heard about it, but 2021 is kind of a unicorn year. But if we look at what happened in 2022, we still saw decent sales, but then we see that 2023 was certainly lower than the past 2 years. However, the idea is that there's going to be a little bit of a bounce back in 2024 with 5.5 million in total home sales. So, and actually this has to do with several things. Number one is this idea about mortgage rates. So if we look at data about why people decided to move or sell or buy in 2023, we know that there's the Bright MLS, it's just one of the largest MLSs in the nation, has a survey, and in that it says homeowners who are selling aren't influenced by rates, with 90.5% of successful November sellers stating that they were going to sell regardless of what the rates were doing. So if people were transacting, almost 91% of people were transacting regardless of what was happening with the rates. If and when rates drop, imagine there is even more incentive. If you're not affected by the rate, if 91% of people weren't even bothered by them, and then there are people bothered by them, those people are going to be coming back into the real estate market. Also notice that 78.7% of people with a mortgage have a rate of less than 5%, which has contributed to this idea of a lock-in effect. However, think about this idea of switching costs. So for example, going from cable TV to Netflix to streaming, right? So cable TV, we know that it's a certain cost. Well, now we're streaming and we have all these, basically we're getting acclimated to a different amount of money, a different payment. And some people would say, well, it's cheaper to stream. Well, how many things are you streaming, my friend? Because I know for us, for example, we have Netflix, we have Hulu, we have Peacock, we have Max, we have Amazon Prime, YouTube. Okay, and all of those, it's the same difference. It's just a price switch, a different idea. So this goes without saying that this idea of pricing, we know that as things shift, people get acclimated to what the prices are. And actually prices didn't seem to have that great of an effect on what was happening with buyers. And then if we think about with the interest rate coming down into the 5 somewhere, then there's going to be people that are more okay with the mortgage rate than they were at a 7%. And so what's happened is basically because this lock-in effect, because we have these 78% of people that have a mortgage of less than 5%, sellers have been locked in and they don't want to sell. However, once we get into this 5 range, the prediction is that people who were making a decision based on current interest rates will shift, perspective will shift. That's better than a 7%, right? So there's going to be the shift in sellers being more likely to want to sell overall. Here's another interesting fact about the mortgage rate situation. So roughly half, 50.6% of November buyers were going to buy regardless of interest rates, and another quarter, 23.9%, purchased with cash. Cash will continue to be king even as rates ease next year, and no matter the direction of rates, households buying out of necessity will continue to find a way to purchase. So if you have to buy, you're going to find a way. And then what's also interesting, I'm going to pull for a second from the East Tennessee Realtors 2024 forecast. People that own their homes outright in the East Tennessee area. Homeowners who own their home outright amounted to 44% of overall owner-occupied homes in the Knoxville metro area in 2022. That's a lot of people. 44% of overall owner-occupied homes were owned by people that don't even have a mortgage. And so that is another reasoning for this idea of Like they're not tied to or anchored down by really any mortgage rate or the opportunity cost of I need to sell. Like they're going to benefit from price appreciation, right? So they're going to be more likely to move and sell. And then another interesting fact from the Bright MLS study that they did, it says reasons people gave for pausing their purchase. 72% said mortgage rates. So these are people that didn't transact. 72.1% said mortgage rates. 34% said inventory, so not enough options, and people could choose more than one. And 17% said affordability. Obviously, affordability and mortgage rates go hand in hand, but this idea of inventory is kind of combated by this idea that we think more sellers are going to come into the market because of this price switching idea, as well as sellers who don't have a mortgage. They are not locked in, and because of how homes have appreciated over the past several years, that value, they can, make more money. So, and just as a side note, because we've seen less inventory come on the market, especially last year, this idea of new construction is a big need to increase inventory currently, because even in the East Tennessee market, that's one of the reasons when we talk about home price appreciation, when we get there, that we're going to continue to see prices increase because inventory is low, demand is high. So there you go. All right, so that is about total volume and sales. So mortgage rates in the 5s, volume and sales up into the 5-ish millions because of rates coming down, and then also because that's going to invite more people into the market. So finally, the third prediction in the 5s for overall forecast for 2024 is that 5% will be the approximate home price appreciation rate. Now again, this is nationally. And this is interesting because according to a survey done by Fannie Mae, listen to this. The percent of Americans who think prices will go down over the next 12 months. Basically, if you look at the chart, everyone is thinking like they're going down. It's going down. So basically, on average, 1 in 4 people, 25% of people think that home prices are going to go down. That's 1 in 4. And that is not the case. Like that is not true. That hasn't been the case for multiple years, and that's largely due to demand issues and lack of inventory. So just want to throw that out there now, that this idea that prices are going to drop, there may be certain markets where that's going to drop, but even if we look at the top 20 metros, if we look at the top 20 cities currently, Atlanta, Boston, Charlotte, Chicago, Cleveland, Dallas, Denver, Detroit, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Miami, Minneapolis, New York, Phoenix, Portland, San Diego, San Francisco, Seattle, Tampa, and Washington, D.C. Only one of those saw prices going down. This is a recent February 2024 chart showing that prices are not going down in any of those major U.S. cities. So we're not expecting that. And then overall average 5.1%. So that justifies the prediction about 5% price appreciation over the course of 2024, which I think is interesting. It's also interesting to note what happens through the course of a year when it comes to pricing. So what we see is overall price movement. March, April, May, June, we see this, or March, April, May, we see this climb in pricing. So January into spring, and then we see that coming back down. We also noted that in 2023, prices were up. The East Tennessee area, what we saw is that in 2022, median sale price was up 16%. 2023, median sale price was up another 5%. So in East Tennessee, the prediction is 3.6% overall price increase, but nationally, the prediction is 5%, and that's based off of this kind of suppressed market idea, and also over a 49-year average of what happens throughout the year, what the prediction is based on what's happened in the past, and now that we're kind of in this predicted time of like settling back to more of a normal market. So overall, estimated home price performance, if we look at what's happening in the future, the prediction for 2023 is a 5.92%. December. So December 2023 was up 5.92%. 2024 December is predicted to be up 2.35%, 2.7%. 2025, 3.6%. 2026, 4% in 2027, and 4.1% in 2028. So none of those numbers estimate a price any price depreciation. And then essentially the prediction is from the Home Price Expectation Survey, which is produced in partnership with Pulseonomics LLC, polls over 100 housing experts across the industry and academia for forecasts of national home price percentage changes in each of the 5 coming calendar years. So basically what they've done is they've taken a bunch of data and they're predicting what's going to happen moving forward. And so it's interesting that we have about a quarter of Americans saying that prices are going to decrease, which I know that is not the majority, but 25% is a large, significant number. It's not just like some rando on the street, right? So anyways, all that being said, the prediction is over the next 5 years, we're going to see that potential growth in household wealth over the next 5 years based solely on increased home equity if you purchased a $400,000 home in 2024, is that from now, 2024 till 2029, your equity is going to increase $72,000 over the course of those 5 years. So you buy for $400,000 in 2029, your house is going to be worth $472,000. So it's interesting to think about, okay, overall, it looks like for long-term equity, we are on the up and up, positive. So yeah, 5% increase. Now what's interesting is that if you look at Freddie Mac pricing, essentially over each month, they're predicting this like 0.3. So overall just compounding up to that 5% prediction over the course of 2024. So we'll see. Home price gains in the CoreLogic S&P Case-Shiller Index have increased about 7% since the beginning of the year and are 1% higher than they were at the peak of 2022, recovering all losses recorded in the second half of 2022. So that's from CoreLogic's chief economist talking about this idea that we're recovering, and we know if we just even look at what's happened in 2023, we saw prices rise 6.6% from November 2022 to November 2023, and that was despite increases in mortgage rates. So even though we're seeing these increases in mortgage rates, we're seeing that people are still transacting. There's still buyers in the market, and therefore we're not seeing prices decreasing. So certainly it is all tied together for sure when it comes to mortgage rates, pricing, and then who's transacting. And then just a side note about home price appreciation over the past 30 years. So this is from Freddie Mac, and just a note about, what has happened over the past 30 years. Have we seen prices decreasing? Have we seen equity grow? Like, what does that look like from a wealth perspective over the past 30 years? So these are seasonally adjusted numbers. This is percent of home price appreciation. So over the past 30 years, almost 300% home price appreciation. Over the past 10 years, 103%. Over the past 5 years, 54%. And over the past 1 year, so that's basically looking at that November 2022 to November 2023 number, we saw almost a 7% increase in home prices. So there's not going to be this massive depreciation in home prices that we think. Now, I will say that Realtor.com predicted that prices would decrease 1.7%. So basically, if you look at Goldman Sachs, Mortgage Business Association, Zillow, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, Home Price Index, and then NAR, all of those are predicting price appreciation in 2024. Realtor.com is saying it will be down 1.7%. So that is an average of 2.7. But overall, of these 8 credible sources, only one of them is saying that prices will be down in 2024. And then if we look at Realtor.com's overall predictions, well, if we compare the original forecasts. So back in November 2023, what we saw is people saying that, like Goldman Sachs said 1.9%. Their February prediction is 5% price increase. Mortgage Bankers Association in November said 1.1%, and then as of February, 4.1% price appreciation. Zillow, 0.2%. As of November, and then currently February 2024, they're saying 3.5%. Fannie Mae 2.8 to now 3.2. Freddie Mac 2.6 to 2.8, so not a huge change there. Home Price Expectation Survey 2.2 to 2.4. National Association of Realtors 0.7 to now 1.9. So essentially all of those sources between November to current day February 2024 are now saying that we're going to see more significant price appreciation than they had originally projected. Again, for East Tennessee itself, the prediction is 3.6%, which I'm thinking is probably conservative just based on how East Tennessee has performed when it comes to what's happening nationally versus what's happened locally. We were basically outpacing the national average in almost every category in 2023, with the exception of, like in October, for example, we outpaced the number of price reductions than what was happening nationally. So that being said, if the prediction is nationally this 5% price appreciation, East Tennessee Realtors has predicted a 3.6% price appreciation because of how we outpaced like US average in 2023. I would think it might be a little bit higher than that, but we'll see. So, and then if we think about overall home sales, so let's do some quick math here. I meant to pull these numbers, but so in 2024, there were 4.8 roughly million. What we see is that's about a 13% increase, right? In overall sales. That is 5.4 million. So roughly around there, 13-14% overall increase in home sales. The prediction for East Tennessee is 11.1% increase. So again, that's a little bit lower than what this prediction is nationally. But anyways, those are your three major things, all fives, the year of fives, 2024, mortgage rates somewhere in the fives, total home sales in the 5 millions, up about 13-14% compared to last year, 2023. And then price appreciation around 5% year over year. So TBD, we will see. Go check out my East Tennessee video. I think it has, like, I talk about what's happening with the rental market. I talk about what's happening with lock-in effect here locally with mortgage rates. So just some pretty great information if you're interested to know about the East Tennessee and Knox metro area. That being said, as always, I strive for these to be informative and helpful and somewhat entertaining, even though I feel like a market predictions video is, you're not like, woo! That being said, some of my other videos are way more fun. I would love for you to check those out. Click subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.